Every one of us has been given a gift to help us navigate this crazy and confusing world. That gift is your intuition. But especially if you've been in an emotionally abusive relationship, there's a chance that you're having trouble accessing or trusting that gift. And there's a reason for that. Intuition does have one enemy, and that enemy is anxiety. So if you're dealing with anxiety, as is common when you're in an emotionally abusive relationship or afterwards, there's a chance that the lines between the anxiety and your intuition have gotten blurred. So in this video, we're going to cover 5 signs that your anxiety has hijacked your intuition and what to do about it. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and on this channel we talk about emotional abuse, its connection with spirituality, and we attempt to answer the question, where do we go from here? So if that all sounds good to you, be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. If you're already subscribed, thank you and welcome back. Today we're talking about something that I think is extremely important, and that is your intuition. Intuition can help you through so many things, and a lot of us who have been in emotionally abusive relationships have felt at some point in our lives like we are highly intuitive people. Everyone has intuition, but you may have relied on intuition heavily at certain times in your life and have thought of yourself as somebody who could trust your gut. But these relationships kind of make us question all of that. They make you question your decision to trust this person, and the relationship itself makes you doubt yourself. It eats away at your sense of self-confidence and self-worth. So that can cause you to lose faith in your intuition. But here's the good news. You never actually lose your intuition. Intuition is a very deep sense of knowing, and it's also a connectedness that you can tap into as long as you trust yourself. And unfortunately, trust in yourself is exactly what anxiety attacks. So what happens in those moments where you really want to be accessing your intuition, but anxiety shows up? How can you know if that little voice, that little feeling that you have, is your intuition trying to keep you safe or your anxiety trying to keep you stuck? When you know the difference, it's much easier to trust yourself because you can identify what is intuition and what is actually anxiety. And you want to deal with those two things in very different ways because you know that you can always trust your intuition. You cannot always trust your anxiety. So the first sign that you're dealing with anxiety and not intuition is that you feel fear. In that moment when those thoughts are coming up, when those feelings are coming up, and you think that it might be your intuition, but you're fearful. You're making a decision based on fear. That is coming from anxiety, and that is absolutely not intuition. So this doesn't mean that intuition is going to leave you high and dry just because you're fearful, but you may need to slow things down a little bit. So if you think about any movie that you've watched, any action movie where they come to a point and it's high stress, high stakes, and they have to make a quick decision, everything's moving very fast. Usually what they'll do is they'll step back and take a deep breath. They'll pause for a moment, whatever time they have, they'll just take and just breathe. Everything stops for maybe 30 seconds. And then they make that decision. That's because intuition never comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of connection. So you have to reconnect with yourself in the present moment and feel a sense of calm in order to tap into your intuition. So the second sign that anxiety is running the show instead of intuition is that you're experiencing physical symptoms. So in that moment, maybe your heart is racing, maybe your stomach is in knots. Anxiety is going to present in a physical way. Now, intuition, on the other hand, usually does not. I don't want to say that intuition never presents in a physical way, because it may. For some people, it does. Some people do feel something when they're having a very intuitive moment, but it's very different from what you would feel with anxiety. So if you know how anxiety feels, then you know at any given time when you're feeling those things that it's not necessarily something that you should listen to. Another sign that it is anxiety and not intuition is that it's intense. Your feelings in the moment are super intense. And intuition is usually not that way. Intuition is usually a lot more subtle And like I said, you have to really pay attention to what's going on. So anxiety is much more likely to feel overwhelming than intuition. And the fourth sign that you're dealing with anxiety and not intuition is that you can explain what's going on. So if you can rationalize it, it's not intuition. Intuition can be described as the ability to make the right decision based on something other than deliberate thought. So if you're deliberately thinking, if you're analyzing a situation, what you're doing, what's coming to you, the thoughts that are coming to you are not your intuition. That is rational, analytical thought. And that's not a bad thing, but it's not intuition. And the fifth sign that you're dealing with anxiety and not intuition is that your mind is either in the past or the future. It's not in the present. You have to be in the present moment in order to tap into your intuition. So if you're stressing about something that's going on in the future, and if you're worried about something that happened in the past, you're going to have trouble accessing that intuition. So if you want to get back to a place where you can start trusting yourself again, you have to start trusting your intuition. You have to start trusting your gut again. And in order to do that, you have to access that intuition. And that means spending more time in the present moment and distinguishing the difference between anxiety and intuition. You can have anxiety about a situation and you could be right or you could be wrong. Your thoughts, your rational thoughts or irrational thoughts, whatever, your deliberate thoughts can be right or they could be wrong. But more often than not, anxiety leads to poor decision making. So if you have a decision to make, it's always best to try to tap into that intuition. So slow things down. If you can, if you have time, maybe start meditating to clear your mind, to get rid of all those anxious thoughts as much as you can, so you can make the best decision possible for yourself in that moment. So if you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more like it, be sure you're subscribed, and I will see you next time.